Hi guys, it don't red, it don't scatter everywhere for social media as Bola Ahmed Tinubu come out to say that he will make corruption unattractive in Nigeria. Guys, Nigerians are now asking questions saying, how can someone whom INEC chairman announced the winner, that's the president-elect, through corruption, fight corruption? Without wasting too much of our time, make una watch this video and hear what Dr. Ruben and Rufai has to say, and don't forget to share your thought with us.
Nigerians are very shameless. All they are looking for is just access to the corridors of power, to have access to state resources, which is why the battle has to be fought at the institutional level. What remains is for our leaders to show the example. When leaders show good example, the people will follow suit. So leadership by example should be the guiding principle.
Truth has to be said. He said all the right things yesterday, second day of the two-day visit in Rivers State. But I'd like to tell you how corruption affects judiciary. It is very organized. The greatest way to stop corruption in judiciary is to make politics unattractive with money. Because one of the greatest perpetrators of corruption in judiciary are the politicians themselves. So when they get into politics because it's attractive, the politicians institute a series of action that leads to state capture, where they capture wealth, capture opportunities, capture prospects. They become very rich. And with that also, they capture the functions of the different tiers of government. So they have loyalty and alliances in judiciary. They have loyalty and alliances in the legislative arm of government, and institutes and parastatals of government. They have loyalties and alliances there. And all of it works together in a symbiotic way to oil their wheel of corruption to do their bidding. Most of the money passed on in these corrupt activities, predominantly most of them come from corrupt politicians that help them in turn get judgments to favor them. And that's why you see, once you go up the power ladder in Nigeria as a politician, that pretty much start for amassing wealth through state capture, making organs of government function in your place, then build influence capital. When you are able to do those three things, you have a retinue of people that are tied to you that will be able to aid and abate your corruption. So the very first way to break that cycle is to make government unattractive, constantly whittle down the political power of politicians and subject them to a great deal of accountability, break the mold of any form of state capture, because corruption only thrives where there's an abundance of cash. Then after doing that, then you can now talk about the welfare. So when you talk about the welfare means setting up an ecosystem of sustainability after post-retirement for the judges. And that's where things like house scheme and the likes come in, pension, and also giving them appreciable pay and investing in the judiciary. The funny irony is the fact that the judiciary are supposed to be able to build their own courts. The idea that politicians and governors are even building courts and giving judiciary officials cars doesn't even make it right in the first place. And those are the things that even open up the judiciary to corruption. How ironic. Now we're talking about corruption in judiciary, but we are also there to launch a project where a governor is giving largesse building for the judiciary, where the judiciary is supposed to have its own purse that comes from the federal government. So you can see the irony of our country. So I think once you can do those two things, then you can be able to break the barrier of this corruption. So build about an ecosystem of a social structure that people are remunerated properly, but most importantly, whittle down the power of political influence, state capture, and power influence among the political class. But I tell you that it is doing the whittling down of power among the political class that will give the biggest desired results. Because if government is not attractive, there's a lot of accountability. You hardly cannot steal when you are in government. you will not have the paraphernalia to bribe people to build state capture, start bribing the judiciary and doing things in your favor. Then if we do that, then we can plow the money that is normally frittered away in state capture into building a societal ecosystem of social stability and social aid and welfare. And then we can in turn focus the attention of wealth to building industries and enterprise that can employ people and reduce unemployment. I submit that.